Joining us now to talk about this and a whole lot more, the extended homeopathic hit, Lisa Rooney.
Hello,
Lisa.
how is everyone? It's
Uh,
good to see you.
well, I'm feeling the emotions this week, this past week, since
Right.
last week at this time we were going live with an intent to cover the Maha report, and then we get word that Charlie Kirk had been shot. Then later on the show, we learned he died, and so ever since then, the waves of emotion we've been feeling, not just me and you, perhaps, but just feeling it out there. And
Right.
then you see this thing that's happening, this show trial in the Senate, all of these things where the people that used to succeed in being smarmy and deceptive, now I think you can see it on her face, this Monterez lady.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's all of this has moved into the collective, especially with the Charlie Kirk. It really has kind of shaken everybody up. And then what's going on with Kennedy? I personally am so grateful that this man with such incredible character is is standing up. There was a video that I saw. I think it came out in the last Children's Health Defense newsletter that was just extraordinary. It was about 6 minutes, and it was like why RFK is doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And it was an extraordinary video. I encourage everyone to go back and watch that because it reminds you of the character and the intellect and the passion that is behind what he is trying to do. And that personally for me helps me rest at night.
Yeah.
All this other
Beautiful.
stuff that all these people are saying, Bernie Sanders, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I hope everybody is taking that and dumping it right in the trash because we do not need to be listening to people like that. There's no credibility there. There's nothing that we're going to gain from that. There's no sense in putting energy towards that. We've got good people that are handling it,
Yeah.
but it's remarkable to me that people can continue to state the same lies over and over and over again. And I honestly feel like some of these people are just too far gone. Like they're just too far
Well,
gone.
they're the unreachables,
The
and that's what I've
unreachable.
said.
Yeah.
And they're unreachable because they choose not to be reachable. I get it. At any point, people can repent and come back to the light and do godly and loving things. But as you point out, some of these people like Bernie is so far into it, probably not in this lifetime is going to happen for him. Just
Yeah.
witnessing him and his de-evolution away from whatever he proclaimed to believe about caring for the people against the big corporations, right? All of that.
Yep.
It's absurd as he's going to bat for them, and the people who are most hurt by it, are the ones he pretends to represent.
Right. And I just want to remind all the mamas and the dads out there that, in the end, you do have choices. You can protect your children. The choices may not necessarily be easy and they may not be exactly what you want, but there are choices and there are ways to boost immunity. There are ways to protect our children. There are ways to educate their immune system against these chronic diseases.
Yeah.
We need not fear. And
No, and we're
I mean, for me, homeopathy is the number one way, but there's lots of ways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of ways, not just one way. By the way, I'm wearing the shirt. Thank you to Celia Farber for sending this to me, the Make Yourself Healthy Again shirt
Yeah.
that she developed. And she sent me one. I'm sending one to Super Don as well. And I appreciate Celia Farber and all her work. She knows about these battles for decades as well.
Yeah.
And, Lisa, I got to ask you about the emotions before we dive into the kind of the focal point on arthritis and pain and remedies for that today. And then we also have a female specific homeopathic hit of the day. But
Right.
Lisa, the mourning the loss of Charlie Kirk and more. I know the classic remedy Ignatia, but please throw a few out there for people that are feeling it and need a little help.
Yeah, I've had this since this happened, with the clients that I'm currently working with, and about 40% of my practice is young adults in that college age. And so they're feeling it. It's really sent a ripple effect. And when a major event shakes our world like this, these emotions they ripple into the collective and we experience outrage, fear, grief, shock. These are all very normal responses. They show that we care, they show that we're human. But what often happens is that we don't just feel these emotions once because we keep looping through these emotions. We replay the events in our mind, we scroll the news feeds, we refresh social media, we go down all the rabbit holes because we're trying to make sense of what really happened. And what we have to remember is that every time we do this, our nervous system takes another hit. It's another micro shock. Instead of this single, kind of stress response, our body experiences all these hundreds of micro shocks. And it's part of our connected world. I mean, we're all connected and we're all looking at things all the time and we're trying to get the latest and we're trying to make sense of it. But that can leave us very restless, very anxious, very unable to focus, unable to sleep. So, to that point, the good news is that homeopathy, I'm going to talk about some flower essences. I'm going to talk a little bit about some coaching and somatic tools that can help us find that steadiness again. So there's 5 remedies that I want everyone to keep in mind. So, make sure you've got notes. And then I will post these on my blog, on my website. So anybody can go to the blog and get this as well. But the first one I want to talk about is aconite. So aconite is that sudden shock, that fear, that panic. And, we typically think of aconite as like, take it within the first 24 to 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it relevant throughout the entire process because we're continuing to get those micro shocks. So it might be 3 or 4 days later, you pull up your Instagram feed and something else comes up and it brings the whole thing back up. It's a great opportunity to take aconite. The second one I love, Ignatia. You mentioned it, Ignatia, for grief, heartbreak, and when the mind won't quiet at night, like you replay the scenario in your mind over and over and over again. This was actually the one that I needed to take because I saw the video of the actual shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And that one really, I just kept playing it over and over and over in my mind. So I needed to go take Ignatia.
Yeah.
And I had to take a handful of doses. It wasn't just a one and done. It was a handful of doses.
And this is the thing about how to take it. You really can't overdose, particularly, if you're dealing with the lower or medium level, what we call potencies. But let your body and your symptoms and how you feel be your guide. Did the first one hit it? Not so much. I mean, it doesn't match the symptoms. Yeah, pretty close, darn it, with what's going on. So you can repeat. That's it. Don't think it has to be a one and out, and especially with these traumatic events that are real current and recent.
Yeah, absolutely. And, start with a 30C potency for your listeners. Start with a 30C potency. Dose as frequently as you need. If you find after about, maybe 4 to 6 doses, it's not moving the needle, but it seems well indicated, then you might want to go up to a 200C. But, starting with a 30C, that's what I used in Ignatia, 30C, and it really helped even everything out. The third remedy is coffea. I love this remedy. This is the sleeplessness that's caused by an overactive racing mind. So you'll know you need coffea because it feels like your brain is on caffeine. And you're just awake. You wake up, boing, you're awake, and then the thoughts start racing.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Any others you want to throw in there before we dive into today's extended homeopathic hit with you? Original
two
Mm-hmm.
more. So Staph aureus. I love this remedy for bottled up indignation and for righteous anger. This is a great remedy for that anger. And again, in a 30C, you see something on the TV, it really incites anger in you. That you can't calm down on your own, then, Staph aureus is a great remedy for that. And then the last one would be arsenicum album, and we've talked about that one. So that's restless anxiety about safety or about the future. So if you're just this has pushed you into a place where you are feeling a lot of restlessness, a lot of anxiety, your thoughts are kind of going about the overall safety of the world, the safety of your future. Even the safety of your health, like worry about health. Arsenicum album can be helpful in that scenario.
Nice. I appreciate so much you expanding always the remedies into that emotional realm. You have that sensitivity that it's just, who you are and what you bring to it. So those folks, you notice if you're in those states, even beyond the Charlie Kirk incident and recent things occurring, I would urge you to look into vibrantlife247.com, where you can find Lisa, and you might want to get a consult. We'll talk about that as well. Now, the bigger topic here, or extended homeopathic hit today, ditch and switch concept,
Mhm.
is something I know very well because, even as a child, I was diagnosed with tendonitis, which is in the realm of arthritis, itis, inflammation, pain. And I was on painkillers, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, sometimes steroidal drugs, and
Yep.
even the ones that have developed, COX-2 inhibitors over time, and the Tylenol issue now has come up. Obviously, the danger of Tylenol to liver. It's not an NSAID technically, but people take it for pain. Ibuprofen, all of these things that are so damaging to so many systems, liver, kidneys, intestinal tract, you name it, and yet people pop those like candy in our allopathic world. You know that, Lisa, and I've had to overcome that even today, trying to help people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was in that place when I was in my, mid 20s, and I had chronic fatigue and chronic candida infections. And I just, like, my body was, it just hurt all the time. It just ached all the time. So it was not uncommon for me to take Advil, once, twice a day for weeks, months on end. So we're going to talk a little bit about arthritis today. So arthritis is chronic inflammation, stiffness in the joints. It leads to pain, swelling, reduced mobility, can be worsened by weather, stress, can be worsened by overuse. Um, at its root, what it really does is it reflects both like a physical wear and tear, but deeper imbalances in, it could be immunity, it could be circulation, it could be emotional flow. So when I think about arthritis, the emotional core of arthritis is really about rigidity in the joints that often mirrors rigidity in your emotions and your beliefs.
Hmm.
So stiffness, when we hear stiffness, I think, where's your inflexibility? Where's your resistance to change? When we hear swelling, another component of arthritis, I want to know, where are you holding on to too much? Too much worry, too much resentment, too much grief, and it's swelling in the system. When their complaints are like heat and inflammation, that reflects back to me that there's inner anger and frustration, or maybe there's like suppressed fire in your system. And then sometimes we have cold and degeneration that's going on within arthritis. So to me, when I hear that in my clients, I'm thinking, where's the depletion? Where's fear? Where is there a lack of life force flowing? And when I work with my clients, I'm looking at, okay, what is happening? What's the body telling me about the emotional landscape?
Hmm.
And that's what we see in arthritis. That's what makes me very curious. What's going on? What are you, where are you really rigid in your
Yeah.
emotions or your beliefs?
See, Lisa, I so greatly appreciate you going to the depths and the breadth of these remedies, because look, I have a bias as a guy. This is the difference often between the masculine and the feminine. And this is not right or wrong. This is about, why you'd want to see Lisa Rooney and not me, right? This is the thing. I'm going, hey, your liver is congested. You've got accumulations of uric acid and other waste products that are inflaming your skeletal and muscular tissue, and you haven't, which is also true.
It's all
But
true.
but
Yes.
you want to go to the depths of, okay, I took Rhus tox. We'll get into that, and I feel great again. But then it comes back, right? And you've done the changes, and you've done the you're eating cleaner, and you still have. Then you go, oh, Lisa, that's the emotions, the other aspects of the energy of these manifestations of symptoms. And again, that's why I love doing this with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was having a really interesting conversation with a client a couple of weeks ago, and her body was telling me something completely different than what she was telling me. And I kept saying, your body's telling me something different. Your body's telling me this. And it was centered around anger. And her symptomology was really centered around the fact that there was suppressed anger. And it took us a while to really get to that, but that's one of the benefits, of working with someone like me, because I provide that coaching, that ability to have like that coaching container, so that we can really dive a lot deeper. We can't always dive that deep, or have kind of those continual conversations within the confines of just a homeopathic session. But when we add the coaching in, then we can really get deeper. So it took us a couple of sessions and a handful of remedies, but she was on all the right remedies to address her physical stuff. We were seeing some shifts, but not, I just knew there was some kind of emotional component because of the way her body was speaking. And that's really what I spend a lot of time listening to, in my consults.
Yeah. So let's go through some of these remedies, and we have some visuals as well. At Super Don, you have that, and Lisa can call that up as needed to talk about some of the layers and levels of response to arthritis manifesting.
Yeah, for sure. So we're doing kind of a ditch and switch. So it's what are some of the over-the-counter products that you can use, and then what are the homeopathic remedies that you can use instead. So there's a product out on the market called Voltaren, and it's just a topical. It's for arthritis. I believe they have some internal products that you can take as well, but it's basically, the main ingredients is basically a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, so an NSAID. So all of the same things that we get concerned about with NSAIDs, taking them internally, there's some of those same concerns. This one's not, it's not the risks are not huge with this one because it's a topical, but I think what we need to think about is the same thing I think about with steroidal creams. It's driving it deeper into the system. You're putting something on your system that is designed to suppress and stop that symptom. And what that's going to do is that's going to drive the energy of it deeper into your system. And it's going to come out someplace else because the body's always looking to be in homeostasis. So what are the things that we can do, to give the body the information that it needs to really resolve the symptom, going into the system and really supporting it versus suppressing, driving it deeper into the system. So 4 remedies that I look at for arthritis. Now there's a handful more, but these are probably the most common. The first one, and this is one of my favorites, is Rhus tox. This is really useful when the joints are stiff. Oh, and you know what, Don, you want to pull up there you go. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. So this is important when the joints are stiff after rest, but they feel better with motion. So the pain, it's like it's kind of worse at that first motion, but then as you keep moving, it feels better. This is also when arthritis is worse in cold or damp weather. The second one is Bryonia. Again, one of your favorites.
Yes.
And this is a pain that is, it's really aggravated by any emotion. So it's kind of the opposite of Rhus tox. The person wants to lie still. The joint pain, it's worse when they try to move. It feels better with rest. It typically feels better with warmth and pressure. Belladonna can be used when there's kind of a sudden onset of inflammation. There's redness, there's heat, there's throbbing, pulsating pain. The joints are going to present as, you might hear yourself saying, it just feels like it's inflamed. It feels hot. It may be swollen. It may even be kind of a shiny red color. But there's the throbbing pain that is typically associated with belladonna. And then the fourth one is apis. So this is really well indicated for cases where the joint is also swollen. It also has kind of a redness and an inflamed, but the pains are going to be more burning or stinging type. And the joint is going to be really sensitive to the touch.
You ever encounter somebody with gout? Apis is one of those things that jumps right out. You see the visual, the redness, the pain, the stinging, the burning, all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So those are kind of the top 4 that I typically look at when someone comes to me and they're talking about Rhus tox. Now, these are, they're talking about arthritis, but we're talking about the physical symptoms of arthritis, because in addition to that, I would also be looking at what's going on emotionally. So there may be other remedies, such as, for example, if there is deep-seated anger, we might be using staph aureus alongside of some of these other remedies to help shift the emotional component.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a handful of other remedies, but those are kind of the top four. And
Hmm.
then, of course, I always like to look at what else is out on the market. What kind of combination remedies. And boron, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, because they have some great formulas, has a great arthritis care formula, and it's
Yeah,
got
but yeah,
a
but
lot of the remedies.
they're French, so I discount them. Teasing, teasing. We love the French.
Yep.
By the way, Diane Lockwood has a question about specifically trigger finger. Have you ever encountered somebody with the trigger finger?
I haven't worked so much with someone with trigger finger. I
Mhm.
haven't, but I would. I mean, the principles would apply. I
Yeah,
would say for sure.
agreed.
Yeah, and then you know that I love cell salts, and so
Yes.
two cell salts that come to mind for me are calc fluor and calc phos. And I would always layer these in alongside of homeopathic remedies. That's oftentimes how I, work with clients. I look for a cell salt combination or single cell salt that can be layered in to help support the body, bring that kind of mineral content up, and just help support the remedies that are doing the work.
Yeah, and by the way, the cell salts you have there through Be Healthy, people can get that and use the code Lisa10 off. Is that right? What I'm seeing on the screen?
Yeah, I love this company. I've been working with this company for a long time, and I really recommend their products on a regular basis. And so I reached out to them and said, "Hey, I really want to provide a little bit of a discount to my clients." And so yes, if you use the code Lisa10 off, you'll get 10% off these products or any products that you buy on their website.
Excellent. And of course, you're always so generous with the RSB Show family when they reach out to you and want to do some things beyond that 20-minute free consult. You always give them a special discount for mentioning the RSB Show.
Yes, if anyone wants to, if anybody's struggling with arthritis or joint pain and you want to try these remedies, I highly encourage you to give them a try. You're never going to know unless you try. That's one of my teachers said a long, long time ago. You're never going to know unless you give it a try. But if you don't, if things don't move, then please hop on my calendar. You just let me know you heard about me from the RSB show, and whatever package we decide that you need, you get $100 off.
Nice. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Also,
Yeah.
I mentioned to you off the air that, because I was shamed by my mother and Mark D piled on that I hadn't visited, in a while, Atlanta area where you are as well. And, I just confirmed, yeah, I've got a Florida tour. I've got the event October 3rd through 5th. And then I've got a couple of live broadcasts and public lectures, one at Wesley Chapel outside of Tampa at Nutrition Smart on the 7th of October, and then the 8th of October down at Pembroke Pines, which is near Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And then I'm heading up to Atlanta for a few
Yeah.
days. And so
Yeah.
we'll be able to get together on that trip for sure. So I'm excited about being able to have a
Well,
little
it's going to be
reunion.
an exciting month because I'll see you in Atlanta and then I'll see you in Dallas.
If I make it to Dallas, there's some
If you make
questions
it.
about that. My gosh, the amount of travel and trips and simultaneous things going on. But yeah, I hope everybody will be able to attend, if not there, but virtually, the Healing for the Ages event as well, which we have links to that. That's an amazing, amazing event. Let's see. Let's see. You did like phenomenally efficiently the homeopathic extended hit on the ditch and switch today. Because,
Well, we
and
had a lot to cover, so I was like, let's jump right in.
yeah, impressive. But what also occurs to me for those people that are suffering with arthritic type inflammatory musculoskeletal pain that have been utilizing those allopathic options that we're looking to, hey, give you an option to maybe try something else. There's also the compounding aspect of the injury that has occurred in addition to the initial reason why you took those drugs. And
Mhm.
that's another thing that sometimes homeopathically we can, you have symptoms of other organs and systems that were affected, that we also have remedies to address that. And I
Yeah.
always mention liver and kidneys and digestive health and other things that are damaged or injured, including with Tylenol. And we know brain and nervous system dysfunctions also manifest.
Right. And these are all the things that I look at when I'm working with clients. So I'm looking at it through what we call the three T's: trauma, toxicity, and thoughts. Where are things, what's going on? So if you've got a lot of toxicity, especially pharma toxicity, then I'm looking at it through that lens. What do we need to clear? What are the organ systems? Like I take all the drugs and I look them up and
Mhm.
what are the organ systems that are processing that drug? Because that tells me that there's likely support that that organ system needs. So then that's when I layer on organ support remedies and, other things that are needed to help clear those drugs from the system.
Yeah, and of course we've talked extensively about wide variety of botanical and let's say supplemental minerals that are important as well. And the fact is, as a homeopath, I know a lot of homeopaths are very much isolationist, and that's all they do. They don't want you to touch anything else. But I recognize the physical body we have does also rely on molecular realities too. Although I believe that the missing component in most recovery protocols is the energetic, the metabolic, the homeopathic.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean I don't eat food.
Right.
The body it typically needs that too. So the ability to expand out, I think it's a very somewhat pragmatic, but for me, it's like, duh, of course you need that stuff too. But I do recognize, and I'm not denigrating homeopaths that only do homeopathy either. That's not my point in saying it. But here, I don't have the luxury of just doing this or just doing this. I try to give that broad overview of options, and some people will resonate with one or more of the homeopathic remedies, or
Mhm.
they might be closed down to the idea of energy as medicine still. Do I say, sorry, you're not welcome here? No. I want you all to try something that will help you and not hurt you. And that includes like, we've done the monthly AMAs. I don't know if you're able to come to the next one. It's the 27th of September, Saturday. If you're able, that'll be noon your time for a couple hours. But we've had great discussions there as well. I love having Bobry, who's such an amazing, man, committed so much. And we make fun of him all the time because of his English, which is pretty good considering I barely speak English, but but talking about the botanical blend to help remove toxic components from the body, horrible things in our environment that is degraded and we're exposed to all the time. So, like the folium product. So, I bring that up just to say that what we do is not in a vacuum. And we recognize that all of these things do matter, but there are very few people that have any expertise in homeopathy. As much as this show, is hosted by a homeopath, I
Yeah.
still like I've been reluctant to talk about it over so many years because I thought people would tune out, but it turns out they like us. They like homeopathy. They really do.
No, I'm so glad that we got you past your reluctance and we're having these conversations.
Well,
But yeah,
you've
I
made
agree with you.
Mhm.
Robert, it's, you were just talking in your monologue about one size fits all. Healing is not one size fits all. And even within the homeopathic realm, my belief is that there are lots of different methods that you can apply this beautiful medicine. And some methods work better for one person, some methods work better for another. Some methods work at different times in that healing journey, which is why I've taken a lot of time to really invest in some of the various methods that can be utilized to apply homeopathy to. But it's not the only thing that I work on. I love herbs. I think herbs, sometimes the body needs that raw material.
Mhm.
Sometimes they need the supplemental raw material. And once we kind of once we pair,
Mhm.
for example, like adrenal support homeopathically with the raw adrenal support, we see great success. And
Yes.
sometimes we don't need to, but sometimes we do.
Yeah,
And
along the
so,
way, we were experimenting with what we call herbals that are technically homeopathy, but also they're right on the edge, at a 2x, at a 3x. I mean, these
mhm,
are like they still have a lot of substance and they're
yes.
sort of activated homeopathically a little bit. And they were not canceling homeopathy. In many ways, they were very complementary to the nourishment of the body at a different level. And that's the idea of there's so much theory about homeopathic remedy potencies because it's counterintuitive in terms of reductionism and molecular, allopathic viewpoints. And we look at it differently so that when you dilute it another stage beyond Avogadro's number, you're like, what are you doing? What are you even diluting? But this is an energetic, a deep level interface with the bodies that are not just physical. We have etheric, we have energetic bodies. These realities are honored by most what we call vitalistic views, chiropractic,
Right.
traditional naturopathic, uh, acupuncture, Ayurvedic, ancient Chinese herbalism medicine. They understood that the key, the chi, the centers of the body, they were all energy first. And yet we've, kind of, why are we as homeopaths the redheaded stepchild of the natural healing realm, because it's like
Yeah.
it's so far removed from our training as molecular reductionist Western, you know, we got to think in terms of stuff, even though Hahnemann, as a German, the German mind, that's
Yeah.
where homeopathy was originated in its modern context.
Well, and remember that homeopathy had quite a stronghold in the US.
Mhm.
So why are we the stepchild, the redheaded
We were
stepchild?
programmed to be. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
part of that history that we're dealing with right now with all the Kennedy stuff and just believe the scientists, like appeal to authority. So
Well,
we got
and
to go ahead.
oh, well, I was just going to add in, you were talking about some of the herbals that are just, slightly potentized. The flower essences fall beautifully within that category.
Yes.
They're typically potentized at a 5x. So, Staphylos aurea in a 30C and
Mhm.
batch holly in a
Yeah.
5x. I mean, those are two beautiful remedies that can be used alongside each other.
Yeah, and I've talked about like the sovereign copper, the hydrosol. It's really produced in a beautiful way. It's not officially a homeopathic, but even this copper, it utilizes vortices in its production as well, and that is part of the process. If you've ever witnessed a succussion of a remedy, the
Mhm.
dynamization process, you will see little vortices form in the water through that kind of a violent process, but and you end result with something that is. In a very low potency way, an initial between the two worlds, like Sovereign Silver at 10 ppm is like a 5x. The
Yeah.
Argentin 23, weirdly enough, which is considered more potent because there's more ppm, it would be more like a 4x in homeopathy because there's more substance. So it's not exactly identical, but it's hard. I try to, work within between two worlds. I
Mhm.
don't take the easy route, Lisa, as you know. I just got to
Yes,
go for it. And but
I
I have fun doing
understand.
it. Yes. I have fun
I
doing it though.
understand. I mean, when my kids were little, I was like the oddball out. I never
Mm.
took the easy route. Everything that I did was completely against the grain, and
Mhm.
I think I've said it on the show. My kids are like, "Yeah, your parenting style was, if they're doing it, yeah, we're not doing that." So it kind of, and I feel like, you know, uh, we have spent our entire lives, because I was a canary in the coal mine as well. I mean, people didn't know what chronic fatigue was when I had it. There
Mhm.
was a small little paragraph in the PDR about it, so we've really spent, the last, I mean, dare I say, 30 years
Wow.
really swimming upstream.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here we are now, rooted in the knowledge that we know, very, very confident. And that's what I want for everyone. That's what I want for all of my clients, whether it's my young adults that I'm working with and teaching them also homeopathic principles alongside of the coaching that we're doing,
Yeah.
or whether I'm working with, women my age, men my age. I want everybody to know that this medicine is so beautiful and so strong and so
Mhm.
wise that we need not fear.
Exactly, and if you do fear it, how about some, aconite might be one of those that jumps up again.
Hmm.
Gelsemium might be one that jumps up. So
Yep.
let's dive into something for the ladies, shall we? This is something I haven't personally had menstrual difficulties, but I know many women, including my wife and my daughter, that I love that have suffered those things. And there's a remedy you and I either have not encountered yet, and it's the homeopathic hit of the day. Let's talk about it. Let's see it. Super Don, hit it.
Playing all of the homeopathic hits every day, right here on The Robert Scott Bell Show.
Once again, I got to thank my sponsors for supporting us to do this message of health, freedom, and homeopathic healing liberty. BetterWayHealth.com and their beta glucan, amazing, amazing product, safest form outside of homeopathy. There's almost nothing safer out there for the immune system modulating it. BetterWayHealth.com, use discount code RSB. Also, I mentioned Folium PX and the wonderful products born out of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster and improved since then by my buddy Bobry Oren. You can go to foliumpx.com, discount code RSB25, get you free shipping. Also, Lisa Rooney, who's here now doing an extended homeopathic kit, and her website is vibrantlife247.com. You want to take further what I'm doing in brief little segments, you guys get together with Lisa, set up a 20-minute consult and see if you need to and want to go further. She's wonderful. And remember, she said, mention the RSB show. You got to go further. You get $100 off. And finally, the right tool for the right job is everything, not just the right remedy, the right tool, Grip On Tools. out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Family of immigrants coming here the right way in America, doing it right. Grip on tools wherever tools are sold. Now, the homeopathic hit is Murex purpurea. And I find this fascinating because it's indicated for pelvic issues, uterine affectations, bearing down pains, even sexual excitability specific to the female. And it's interesting because this is another one of those uh, strong colors in nature. You know, we've talked about sepia, the inky juice of the cuttlefish, often indicated for menopause and emotional things. But Murex purpurea is interesting, the Tyrian purple color found in the dye mollusk, if you will. And it's indicated most for uterine congestion, chronic engorgement of the uterus, tenderness, heaviness, fullness, bearing down pains, ovarian and uterine disorders. This is interesting. Excessive sexual desire. Sometimes even in the Materia Medica, it's written as nymphomania. I haven't personally met anybody like that, but hey, if that's the case, there's a remedy indicated. Menstrual disturbances, early profuse painful periods, pelvic congestion. You see it come back again and again and again. And it talks about women who are delicate, sensitive, weakened by repeated childbearing, that kind of thing. So it's an interesting thing. And as we scroll down, you can use it as a low potency safely, 3X to 6X, 6C. You can use it in the middle realm, uterine displacement, bearing down. You want to go to the higher potencies, it gets into levels where I'd hope that you'd consult with Lisa Rooney or someone like her. And then as we scroll down to look at the adjunct remedies I want to throw out for your consideration, then Lisa, I'm going to bring you in for the next few minutes as we wrap up hour one. We got sepia, classic remedy, Lilium tigrinum, the tiger lily, uterine prolapse, mental restlessness. My favorite is always a go-to, Simisafuga racemosa. Sometimes it's known as Actiarac. Any kind of menstrual abnormal, you'll find something related to that remedy, and then pulsatilla as well. So it's not to replace a doctor if you ever want one, but I'd rather have you have someone that doesn't poison you for profit. And Lisa, what do you think? Again, coming in, the wide variety of remedies for female-specific issues.
Right, it's amazing, and we need them because everybody is different, and the sometimes the details of the case are really what do the differentiating. So I would take, when I hear bearing down pains, I usually turn to sepia. That's the one that I go to.
Mhm.
But I would want to do a really deep dive differentiation because this remedy handles so many things that I'm seeing a lot in
Mhm.
terms of just the uterine issues, the congestion, the congestive headache that comes along with it, that bearing down pain, that cramping. So, I think it's a brilliant remedy. I don't know why it's not as well, like, it's just not one that has,
It's funny. I think partly is that, when we succeed with the basic ones, you don't necessarily have to then go further, right? And a lot of times we do, but there's some nuances to this remedy that are interesting.
yeah, well, it's kind of that concept of the polycrest. Those polycrest remedies are remedies that for your audience, a polycrest remedy is a remedy that handles a very wide sphere of symptoms. And oftentimes you can do a polycrest and it will shift the case. But when the polycrest doesn't shift, or it shifts it and then it stalls, then we need to take a look at, do we change potency, or do we need to add in additional remedies, or
Yeah.
maybe change a completely remedy? And this remedy may be one that follows sepia well.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So you guys explore this. That's what this is for. There's a downloadable PDF for free. You can go further with the various Materia Medica around the world on these ingredients when you want to. And I encourage that. And if we even help one person, like I do some homeopathic hits, and my wife's listening, she's like, I want to try that. We've never tried that. And she tries it and it's helpful. I'm
Yes.
like, thank you to everybody that insisted we do this, including Superdot. So, Lisa, here's the question from Yolanda. When's the next homeopathic training that you're going to be doing? I know you've been working on it.
Yeah, I've been working on it. It's going to come out this fall.
Okay.
So go to my website and get on the wait list. So
Okay.
it's imminent. I have one more module to do, and then I've got to record the videos. So it is coming along. And I'm so excited about this course. It's going to be fantastic. 7 modules. We're going to go over 50 homeopathic remedies, 25 different acute conditions. And I decided, as I had to do everything, I decided to also add in, I'm going to do a lot of remedy comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are dealing with a specific issue and there's 2 or 3 remedies that are
Yeah.
very close, you're going to get some charts that really compare those remedies. So it's going to be a great, and also all my tips and tricks. I'm going to show you how I organize my remedies, what I carry with me,
That's going to be
all
great.
the things that it took me years and years to learn, so that you can fast track and really get in and get some confidence about using these remedies right away.
Nice. Well, and stay in touch with Lisa at her website. Also, we always have it linked up. And if she's able to come to our AMAs, it's always fun. You get a sneak peek there too. So you guys take a look at that. And Lisa, I'll look forward to seeing you in Atlanta when I'm visiting Mom next month.
Great.
And also
Sounds
for
great.
those of you going to the Healing for the Ages event, you'll get to see Lisa. She's going to be there. And
Yes. I'm
it's
going to be there.
amazing.
So if anybody, if anybody is there, seek me out. Tell me that you're a listener and a fan of RSB, and I'll be happy to meet with you. And I just want to remind everybody, if you are struggling with the current events, go to my website, because I have these remedies. I have some flower essences. I have some coaching tools, some somatic tools. I just put it up in a blog today. So that very first blog, go to it. There's a lot more detail about what we talked about.
Excellent. All right, Lisa Rooney, that was so much fun. As always, our extended homeopathic hits and ditch and switch. You guys share the good news, share the show, replay it, rewind it, whatever you got to do. And we'll keep bringing the power to heal back where it belongs. And you know where that is. And we're going to be back next hour. We got a doctor of chiropractic, and she's going to be appearing with me and others at the Quantum Leap Healing event in Orlando, October 3rd through 5th, Dr. Heather Wolfson. Lisa, what do I say at the end of every hour? I sometimes forget. Of every show, every hour, at the end of every, this is like I put her on the spot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I did. I was like, what? I didn't expect that.
Yeah, the power is yours.
The power to heal is yours.
The power to heal is yours. Yes.